So good day everyone. Today we'll talk about why it is important to study human development, especially during childhood and adolescence. So this lesson will help us learn basic ideas about development, different ways to study it, and reflect on our own experiences as we grow up. So in this unit, we still look at why studying children and adolescents is important. So, review past reviews about childhood and even learn from real life examples like Jeffrey Dahmer and Alice Walker to see how both heredity and environment affect a person's growth. So now, my content is about future educators and parents, second, role in guiding children and adolescents, and lastly, the importance of understanding development. So, as a future educators and even a future parents, one of our biggest responsibilities is guiding our children and adolescents. To do this effectively, we must first understand their developmental stages. The more we know about how they grow, the better we can guide, support, and nurture them. So, for examples, just like a little teacher who understands that a grade schooler learns best to play and visuals, while the high school students prefers discussions and problem solving. So now we have the human development across stages. So it talks about growth from birth to adulthood. And also the heredity or genes or genetics plus environment or the life experiences. And lastly, the early years, physical, social, cognitive, emotional, and moral changes. So from birth until the adulthood, every individual undergoes constant growth and learning. And both genetics and environment play a very important role. And then the first 5 to 10 years of a child's life are full of dramatic changes, whether it's physically, socially, emotionally, and morally. So these early foundations shape who they become as an individuals. For example, a child who grows up in a supportive family, they may develop confidence, while the another in a neglectful environment might struggle socially. So the next one is the theories of development. So here it talks about the theories of Freud, Piaget, Erikson, Vygotsky, Brenner, Skinner, and Pavlov. It helps us understand how and why children develop, and it guides effective teaching and parenting. So here, many experts like Freud, Piaget, Erikson, and Vygotsky, they developed theories that explain the different stages of development. So by studying their work, we learn why children think, feel, and the way they act or do. So this insight help us become more effective teachers to our children. So, for example, Piaget, the theory of Piaget, it explains why a preschooler may think the sun follows them. It is because they see the world from their own perspective. So now we have the importance in education. So it talks about help teachers present age-appropriate lessons and explains behavior and learning differences. It also talks about the early signs of developmental delays can be detected. And here in education, understanding child and adolescents development is very practical. Why? Because it allows teachers to match lessons with what students are ready to learn. And it also explains why children may struggle and help us address delays or problems early on. So this learning makes more effective and supportive. So now we have the environmental influences. So what is environmental influences? So it talks about the family setup and parenting styles, the community and social system, and the positive versus negative environments. So here, children's growth is also shaped by their environment. For example, children raised in a peaceful, disciplined homes and are often more adaptable and responsible. And then on the other hand, this is a children from toxic or abusive environments. He or she is at higher risk for behavioral problems. So understanding these influences allows us to guide them with empathy. So now we have the adolescence as a transition. So here it talks about the growth spurts and physical changes, the emotional and behavioral shifts, normal parts of the journey to adulthood. So adolescence is one of the most critical transitions. Why? Because teenagers experience sudden physical growth, emotional ups and downs, and the search for identity. These changes are normal. So, as a teacher, parents, and caregivers, we must recognize this transition and support adolescents in a positive ways. So now we have the next topic, which is the historical views of childhood. So, childhood has always been a topic of debate among philosophers. Throughout history, different views have shaped how society sees children and how they should be raised. The three main historical perspectives are the original sin, tabula rasa, and innate goodness. So here we have the original sin view or the Middle Ages. Here it talks about children equals born evil or bad. Goal of parenting equals salvation and discipline. And focus or strict upbringing. For example, in the Middle Ages, children were often taught through strict rules and punishments because they were seen as a naturally sinful. So, the first is the original sin view, which was popular during the Middle Ages. Here, children were believed to be born bad or sinful. So, the parents and caregivers thought their job was to save the child through discipline and religious instruction. For example, strict obedience to church teachings was emphasizes as a way to cleanse children of their sins. So the next one is the tabula rasa view, or in 17th century by John Locke. So here it talks about children equals blank slate. Experiences shape development. Role of parents equals teaching and guidance. So in the 17th century, John Locke introduced the tabula rasa view, which means blank slate. So he believed children are not born good or bad. They simply become who they are based on experiences. This means parents and teachers play a big role in shaping character. For example, if a child grows up surrounded by encouragement and guidance, they are more likely to grow up into responsible adults. So now we have the innate goodness view from 18th century by Rousseau. It talks about children equals naturally good, should grow with freedom and minimal control. The role of adults equals support natural development. So, for example, a child allowed to explore and play freely develops creativity and independence. So, by the 18th century, and by Jean-Jacques Rousseau, uh, he proposed the innate goodness view. So, he believed that children are both naturally good and adults should not control them too strictly. Instead, they should be given the freedom to grow and learn at their own pace. For example, when the children are allowed to play freely, they develop curiosity and creativity. So now let us move on to the modern perspective. Here, it talks about childhood equals unique and important stage of life. The modern psychology studies skills, tasks, and development stages. It also combines lessons from all the three historical views. So here, today our view of childhood is more balanced. Why? Because we see it as a unique and important stage that shapes adult life. Um, Modern approaches in psychology no longer label children as purely bad, blank, or good. Instead, we study their development, skills, and challenges to better understand how they grow into adults. To sum up all, the three historical views shape how children were once seen. Original sin emphasizes strict discipline, and the tabula rasa focus on learning from experiences, and the innate goodness highlight the natural growth. So today, modern psychology blends these ideas and adds scientific research to truly understand child and adolescent development.
Good day, everyone. My name is Rachel May Hamaral. Today, I will be discussing Republic Act 9262, which is the law defining violence against women and their children. Alongside this, I will also connect it with broader social policy direction during the Duterte administration. Republic Act 9262, Violence Against Women and Their Children, examining Duterte-era social policies. Republic Act 9262 protects women and children from violence and covers physical, psychological, sexual, and economic abuse and provides legal remedies and protective measures. What is Republic Act 9262? It is a landmark legislation in the Philippines. It ensures that women and their children are protected against different forms of abuse, whether physical, psychological, sexual, or even economic. It also provides remedies like protection orders and support services from victims. Duterte's social policy expansion. Ramos 2020. Social policy used as political tool. Minimalist approach to universalism. Puberty target programs dominate. So, according to Chairman Ramos in 2020, Duterte's social policy were less about progressive reform and more about strengthening his political order. The reforms followed a minimalist approach, offering only limited universal benefits while still targeting mostly the poor. This reflects what she calls the dark side of social policy expansions. So here's the 7 examples of social policies. Number 1, RA 10931, Free College Education 2017. Number 2, RA 11-223, Universal Health Care 2019. Number 3, 1987 Constitution Prioritized Education Founding. Number 4, RA 10351, Tobacco Tax of Health Insurance 2012. Number 5, RA 9995, Pension for the Indigent Senior Citizen 2009. Number 6, RA 11310, for Peace Program 2018. Number 7, RA 10963, Train Law 2017. So, here are some of the major social policies in the Philippines. Free college education through RA 10931, the Universal Healthcare Act of 2019, the constitutional mandate that education should get the highest budget, and the RA 10351, which used to tobacco tax revenues for health insurance. We also have RA 9995 providing pensions for indigent senior citizens, RA 11310 institutionalizing the Poor Peace Program for poor families, and RA 10963, the Train Law, which restructured the tax system.
Good day, everyone. My name is Mayan Haja, and I will discuss the developmental processes. Number 1, biological processes. And these are the physical change in the body that influence development. They are largely shaped by genetics and biological function. For examples, genes for parents, eyes color, skin tone, body types. For the brain development, growth of neurons and connection. For the physical growth, height and weight, motorcycle like walking, running. For the puberty change, hormonal shape leading to sexual maturity. And, and these short biological processes affect how a person's body growth and functions. So number 2, cognitive processes. So cognitive processes, these involve change in mental abilities, thinking skills in how a person learns, reasons, remembers, and use languages. For example, for the languages development, forming first words of sentence, and the problem solving a puzzle or math equation. Memories, reciting a poem, or recalling past experiences. In short, cognitive processes shape how individuals understand and interact with the world mentally. So the number 3, social emotional processes. These are the change in how a person relates to others, manage emotional and development personality. In cover, relationship, social roles, feelings, and self-identity. For example, forming friendship and family bonds, emotional regulation, learning to handle angry or sadness. Personal traits, becoming more assertive, confident, or empathic. These processes shape how individual connections socially and emotionally with together. So the together biological, cognitive, and social emotional processes interact to influence human development for infancy to adulthood. Principle of Human Development by Soundtrack 2002. Lifelong and continuous. Number 1, development in lifelong. Change does not stop at adulthood. People continue to grow, learn, and adapt throughout life. Number 2, development is plasticity referred to capacity for change and respond to experience or environment. Even in later life, people can make change, learning new skills, adapting to losses. Number 3, development is multidimensional development. Includes multiple interacting domains. The biological, cognitive, social, emotional, change in one domain often affect others. Number 4 is contextual development. Occur with many contexts like family, culture, society, physical environment, historical periods. These contexts influence how development process. Number 5, development involve growth, maintenance, and regulation. Otherwise, across the lifespan, individuals have period focuses on growth, acquiring new skills, expanding maintenance, sustaining what one has, and regulation, managing loss, and the last one is adaptating.
The periods of development. Human development is a continuous and lifelong process. To understand it better, it is divided into different stages of periods. Each stage is unique because it brings specific change in physical, mental, emotional, and social growth. The main developmental periods are prenatal infancy, childhood, adolescence, and adulthood. Number 1, prenatal period, conception to birth, development before birth. This stage for conception to birth, around 9 months. It is the shortest but most crucial as it establishes the foundation for growth. During this time, the baby's organs and body system form, and the mother's health strongly affect the child's development. For example, if a pregnant mother eats nutritious food and avoid harmful substances, the baby is more likely to be born healthy. But if the mother smokes or drinks alcohol, it may cause a birth defect or low birth weight. Number 2, infancy, birth to 2 years old. Extreme depends on the adult. Begin of psychological activities, language, symbolic, talks, and sensory motor, coordination, and social learning. Infancy is a stage of full dependence on adults, where babies start developing language, thoughts, coordination, and social learning through observation and interaction with caregivers. For example, a baby saying their first word like mama or papa, or taking their first step, showing the start of language and motor development. Smiling when they see their caregiver shows early social learning. Number 3, childhood, early childhood, 2 to 6 years old. Learn its self-sufficient and basic self-care. Develop school readiness skills. The preschool years are when child grow more independent, learn self-care, build school readiness skills like counting and letter recognition, and improve social interaction. For example, a 5 years old child learning how to address themselves or write their names shows independence and readiness for school. Number 4, adolescents, 13 to 24 years old. Transition from childhood to adulthood. Rapid physical changes, weight gain, height increase, sexual maturation. Secondary characteristic, breast enlargement for females, penis growth and deeper voice for males. Growth of body hair, central themes identity. Adolescence is a transition from childhood to adulthood, marked by rapid physical growth, sexual development, emotional change, identity exploration, and strongest peer influence. Number 5, adulthood, 24 years old to death. Last stage of life includes early, middle, and late adulthood. Adulthood, the longest stage, is divided into early, career and family building. Middle, stability and guiding the young. And late adulthood, aging, retirement, and life reflection. For example, a 28 years old professional starting a career, a 45 years old parent raising a child, and a 70 years old grandparent enjoying retirement, all in different phases of adulthood. To sum up, all major developmental periods are prenatal, infancy, childhood, adolescence, and adulthood. Each period has unique tasks and challenges that shape a person's growth and identity. By understanding this stage, parents, teachers, and society can provide the right support at the right time, helping individuals grow into healthy and responsible member of community.
Good day,
Yeah.
everyone. My name is Mariam Pantala. The last reporter explained the stages of development from prenatal to adulthood that help us see how learners change over time. Since I am the last reporter, I will be talking about the developmental issues in the study of children's development. These are the important questions or debates that researchers focus on when they study how children grow and change. There are three main issues, which is the nature versus nurture, continuity versus discontinuity, and early versus later experience. So number one is nature versus nurture. First is nature versus nurture. This is the question of whether our development is shaped more by heredity or by our environment. Nature means our biological inheritance or what we get from our genes. Nurture means our environmental experiences like how we are raised and the situation we grow up in. So, for example, children may be born with the ability to learn language. That is nature. But the way they actually speak depends on the environment where they grow up. That is nurture. In reality, both nature and nurture are very important for development. So, number two, continuity versus discontinuity. These issues ask, does development happen gradually and continuously, or does it happen in stages with sudden changes? In continuity, development is seen as slow and steady process like learning how to do, read, or write step by step. In discontinuity, development is seen as happening in clear stages like puberty, which brings abrupt and noticeable changes. So, development can be understood as both continuous and stages like, depending on the aspect we are looking at. Number three, early versus later experience. Finally, we have early versus later experience. These issues focuses on whether early experiences in life are more important or if later experience can be just as influential. Some aspect says early experiences like bonding with parents in infancy are crucial because they shape the foundation of development. Others says later experiences also matter because children remain flexible and can still grow and change as they get older, especially with good guidance and care. In short, both early and later experience play an important role in shaping who we are. To sum up, nature and nurture work together in development. Development can be continuous or can occur in stages. Both early and later experiences are important in shaping a child's growth.